Chapter 10. I managed to catch up to Richard right before he ran into his house. For some reason, instead of running inside, he started running with me to my house. When we got inside, I collapsed from exhaustion. We were both breathing heavily, but Richard was leaning on the wall, while I was nearly passed out on the floor. "We should really consider running for track next school year," he said, after we'd been in my house for about a minute. I looked at him and frowned. "Seriously, dude?" I asked, annoyed. Now is not the time to be making jokes. There's always time for jokes. And why are you so upset? We just got away from someone who was obviously trying to attack us. Yeah, but that's a serious situation, and Charlie didn't get away. Wait, are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. I started raising my voice. I wouldn't joke during a situation like this, like you think it's okay to do. But why didn't he run away? I don't know, Richard. Maybe he just stayed frozen in fear. Maybe he tried, but the attacker went for him first instead of me. I just don't know. I stood up and started pacing back and forth while I scratched my head. Who was in the car? Who was in the house? Why did they attack Charlie? We're going to find the answers to all of that, Richard responded, cutting me off. He seemed pretty calm and relaxed while I was stressed and panicking. What's going on? My dad said from behind me. I jumped back startled and quickly turned around. Hey, Mr. Dunt, Richard said. We didn't see you there. Thomas, why were you out so late? We were helping the detectives, I responded. He stood silent for a second, then shook his head. I like that you want to help them out, but they are professionals. You can't do everything they do, like being out late at night with a potential killer on the loose. I'm sorry, Dad. The time just slipped away. Well, you need to pay attention better. Don't stay out so late anymore. I looked down feeling ashamed, but not for the reason my dad thought. Regardless, my dad gave me a hug. I'm sorry if that came off aggressive, he said, even though he had not raised his voice at all. I just want you to be safe. I will be. My dad went upstairs to his room. I sat down, still breathing heavier than normal. Yo, Thomas, Richard started saying. You don't mind if I stay here until the morning, right? Of course not, I responded. He then went to lay down on the couch and turned the TV on. Despite still being shook up from what had just occurred, I could not stay awake after running so much. It only took about 10 seconds for me to fall asleep after I laid my head down. I felt like I woke up as soon as I closed my eyes, but the sunlight shone through the windows. I looked over and saw that Richard was no longer laying on the other couch. The events of last night were still in my head, so when I heard someone coming downstairs, I quickly closed my eyes and covered part of my body with a pillow. It was stupid to do this as my reaction, because anyone I could have been scared of would have still seen me. After I heard the person walk by, I peeked over the back of the couch. I discovered that the person who walked downstairs was Henry. He walked into the kitchen and started doing dishes. I got up from the couch to go talk to him. Good morning, Henry, I said. Good morning, Thomas, he said back. I didn't know you would be awake this early. I glanced at the clock. 9:30 isn't early, I then said. I know, but you were out pretty late, so I thought you might sleep in today. Henry stopped washing the dishes for a moment and looked at me. What's wrong? You look distressed. I hesitated to answer. Are you still tired? You should go lay back down. Well, I am still tired, but I'm mostly just shooken up about last night. Really? What happened? Did you find another dead body? No, we actually didn't find anything in the house we searched. But before I could finish telling him what happened, our dad came downstairs and interrupted me. "Good morning, my sons," he said to both of us. "Good morning, Dad," Henry said back. I only waved to him because of how I was feeling. "I hope you kids have a great day. I'm going to be working an extra shift tonight." "Really? I feel like you've been working a lot recently." "You think so?" "Yeah, maybe you should take a day off to relax." "Thank you for the suggestion, son, but I have plenty of energy to work a lot. I'm only 44 years old, and I feel like I got 30 years to go before I need to relax." Our dad chuckled. "Well, I'm not too worried about you not having enough energy. I was actually thinking you should relax so you can spend more time with us." "Oh, I understand now." Our dad went to give Henry a pat on the back. "I have a day off in 2 days. The three of us can go see a movie together. Does that sound good to you?" Henry nodded. "All right then. I can't wait for the three of us to have fun." Our dad smiled. "I'll be heading off to work now." "Okay, Dad. I love you." "I also love you," I said after Henry. "I love you both too," our dad responded. He then walked out the door. Henry looked at me after he did. "I think that's the first time you said you love him," he stated. "It might be," I replied. "I just always thought I would feel weird saying it. But it feels fine." "That's good. He really cares about you. But anyways, what happened last night?" I was cut off again by a loud knock at the door. Henry went to answer it, and there, standing at the door, was Hector. "Hey there," Hector said to Henry. "How was the investigation?" "I didn't go," Henry responded. "I was about to ask Thomas about it." "Oh, okay. May I come in then?" "Of course." Hector walked inside and came straight to me. "So, how was the investigation?" I waited a few seconds to answer, so that I could think about all the details of the situation and how I would say them. "We went to check the house that the murder was reported in and didn't find anything. We ended up staying way later than expected, so we went to Charlie's house. We were being followed by a car on the way there, so we tried to enter through the back." I paused as my body started to shake from placing myself inside the situation again. I took in a deep breath and started talking again. "There was a mysterious person in his house. Richard and I started running, but Charlie didn't. I don't know what happened to him." There was a brief moment of silence. "There was a person in a car chasing you?" Hector asked in a dull tone. "And someone in Charlie's house? Do you think they were working together?" "They could have been," I responded. Hector turned his back to me and looked out the window. "You said you and Richard ran? So he was there too, right?" "Yes, he was. So don't try to accuse him of anything." Hector stood still, deep in thought before he spoke. "I have to go check the place myself." He walked out without saying another word. I could not tell if he was holding back his emotion or just did not care about the situation. "Do you think he is upset?" I asked Henry. "Didn't seem like it," he responded. "But maybe he heard from Charlie already, so he knows he is okay." "Maybe, but why would he ask me about last night if Charlie already told him?" "Not sure. I just want to stay positive." "You're really good at that, and so is our dad." "Yeah, that's why I'm so good at it. I learned from him." "I'm trying to learn. You and the people in the town make it easy. But ever since that murder happened, It seems a little harder to do. I agree. That's the reason why I didn't want to join the investigation. The town might become unsafe, so it makes me feel like outside of town will be even worse, especially if I put myself in a situation to make that happen. I understand. I don't think I'll continue helping the detectives by going to crime scenes anymore. Maybe we can do other stuff that doesn't involve putting ourselves in danger. Good call. I decided to go down into the basement so I could work on one of my projects. I thought that I would be fine being down there by myself, since the sun was shining through the windows and I had the lights on. I even had new, brighter bulbs to replace the dim ones, but every little thing still made me paranoid. I'd hear footsteps and look to the stairs. I'd kick something on the floor by mistake and jump back. I would even see a shadowy figure for a split second when I looked out the window. I knew that it was all in my head, but it was still enough for me to leave. Normally I would be able to stay in the basement for hours at a time, but today I only stayed down there for 40 minutes. I was sweating when I went back to the living room. At this point, I wasn't sure what to do. I thought about taking a walk outside, but then I randomly thought about Suzanne and decided to call her. I quickly grabbed my phone and contacted her right away. "You want to hang out?" I asked as soon as she answered the call. I heard her giggle. "You're not going to ask how I'm doing first?" she asked back. "I haven't heard from you in a couple of days." "Sorry," I gave a nervous chuckle. "How have you been?" She giggled some more. "I've been good, and yes, I will hang out with you. Just let me finish what I'm doing. It shouldn't take too long. Maybe 30 minutes at max." "Okay, great. Just come over to my house when you're done." "Okay, baby," she giggled once more. "See you soon." I hung up the phone and laid down on the couch. I closed my eyes and had very happy thoughts about her until I started sleeping. I woke up nearly 30 minutes later to Richard shaking me. I was confused as to why he was in my house, but even more confused seeing Hector sitting on the couch next to me. I also heard someone crying in a different room. "Hey guys," I said. I could see a depressed look in Hector's face, and Richard's too. "What's wrong? Is that Henry crying?" "We have some bad news, Thomas," Hector responded. I sat up on the couch, not knowing what to expect the news to be, but my body started shaking. "I'm listening." There was a car crash just outside of town. Hector paused for a moment. "Mr. Dunt, your father, he was killed." My mind froze. I knew what the wars meant, but I could not comprehend them. I did not want to believe what Hector said. I thought I was having another nightmare. "It can't be true," I said as tears started running down my face. "You're lying." "I'm sorry to say, but it is true," Richard said. I still could not believe what I was hearing. Richard reached out to put his hand on my shoulder, but I moved away from him and covered my face. I walked to the corner of the room, still crying. As painful as it was, I was trying to picture how my dad could even get into a car accident. He was a very safe driver, and there were very few cars that traveled down any road connected to Windwasher. I decided to ask Hector what happened because I could not think of a way for this accident to occur. It made me believe that this was still some kind of cruel prank. How did this even happen? I had a hard time asking through my sobbing. "He was T-boned," Hector replied. "Based on the damage, the other car had to have been going at least 80 miles per hour. More tears came to my eyes. "But that doesn't make sense. Nobody around here would drive that fast. And you could literally spot a car from the city a mile away." "Honestly, I believe it was a targeted attack." "What do you mean?" "Someone probably planned on killing him. The other car in the crash had nobody inside, and nobody else was found dead around the crash site. Who targeted him? I had an aggressive tone through my sobbing. I would believe it to be the same person who killed the Foremans. Why would my dad be targeted by that person? Hector hesitated to respond. I don't know. I don't know why the killer's doing anything yet. The room went silent for a little while. Only the sound of me sobbing could be heard. That's when Richard started walking towards the door. Where are you going all of a sudden? Hector asked him. Richard hesitated to answer. I think I know someone who might be behind all this, he replied to Hector. Who would that be? Jaqual. Richard looked at me, but I did not say anything. He kidnapped us while we were trying to figure out what happened to the Foremans. It just clicked to me. He must have been trying to stop us from figuring out it was him. His girlfriend could be helping him out. I mean, they had no problem trying to kill us. Who's to say that they wouldn't kill other people? Hector rubbed his chin and thought about Richard's statement. Not a bad idea, Hector said. I'm gonna have to investigate them, because this could very well be possible, as long as they would have a motive to do so, and find some evidence that proves it was them. Hector walked towards the door. I'll go investigate him right now. Are you going to tag along, Richard? Oh, sure. Richard waited for Hector to exit, then followed him out the door. As soon as Richard and Hector left, I laid on the couch, covered my face with a pillow, and started crying louder. I wanted to go to my room and be by myself, but then I heard Henry crying louder too. I was devastated by what happened, but I realized Henry had to be feeling even worse. He lived with his father his whole life, and I only knew him for 2 years. I tried holding back my tears and went into the other room to comfort him. Before I could say anything to him, he ran upstairs to his room and slammed the door. I suddenly felt my phone vibrate. I checked it to see a message from Suzanne saying she was at the door. I went to the door to let her inside. Hey, babe, she said with a smile. I gave a fake smile, but she could obviously tell something was wrong, since I had tears in my eyes. Are you okay? She asked. I brought her to the couch and had her sit next to me before I told her what happened. My dad was killed in a car crash, I said, barely being able to say the sentence. Oh my God, Suzanne responded and started to cry. That's so sad. I feel bad for you and Henry. I don't know what to say. She leaned in closer to give me a hug. She held me for a few minutes, then I started to feel uncomfortable, and I gently pushed her away. I think I just need to be alone right now, I told her. Oh, okay. I understand. Suzanne walked to the door slowly, seemingly more upset that I wanted to be alone. Just call me when you're ready to have company. I'm always here if you need me. Once I was alone again, I went back to crying in the pillow. A lot of thoughts and memories were racing through my head. I tried to speak to Henry, but he would not answer me or open the door. I eventually ran out of tears, so I just laid on the couch motionless and stared at the ceiling. The hours went by slowly, and yet, nighttime quickly arrived. The same memories of my dad replayed in my head over and over.